it's almost like the revenge of the boring brand. Episode 110 of This Week in E-Commerce. I am Mal Cheer, and back from across the ditch is Alex Ross. Alex, how was New Zealand?
It was fabulous. Really great to get over to Auckland. Haven't been there in a few years, if I'm honest. So, yeah, great trip over the ditch. I think I managed to fit in 10 meetings over 2 days, and then I had a conference on one of the days as well.
Fantastic. And did you catch up with our friend Justin Irvine?
I did not. I actually didn't know he was over the ditch. That's a shame.
Yeah. Yep. It's all in the accent. Well, I will be there in January. I haven't been there since I was working at Sky City a long time ago.
Well, it's changed a bit, but it's such a beautiful city.
Yeah, excellent. No, I look forward to going there. Any recommendations for where I should eat or drink when I'm there?
I was shocking with the suburbs. I ended up Ubering 30 minutes the wrong way twice. So don't ask me for directions or advice, but I'll send you. Went to a few good bars on Friday night, so I'll flick them over to you.
Fantastic. All right, look forward to that. All right, we're going to get stuck in. We've got another very big week, which has happened. It doesn't seem to be slowing down as we get closer to peak. All I seem to be doing is talking about Black Friday at the moment, but we're not going to be talking about any Black Friday. We're going to be talking about Halloween a little bit later. But before we get into that, I got to give a plug to the Inside Retail Top 50 in e-commerce. If you haven't put in your nominations are closing very soon. Submit them if you are a trailblazer in the world of e-commerce. I would love to see your submission as I am one of the judges. But our first story is a very strange collaboration. And you know what? We've been talking about collabs for a while, but this one to me kind of takes the cake because Lovehoney, the sexual wellness brand, have partnered with cult gelato maker Billy Van Creamy for a Melbourne pop-up.
Now, you say this is a strange collaboration. I think it's a perfect collaboration. It makes sense from my side. I think it brings the fun to ice cream. See how it goes for them.
You didn't even want to know where my head went to when it was going to be like inspired sexual wellness, inspired gelato flavors. And they're going to be giving free Lovehoney toys with purchase, which I totally get. And I love Lovehoney's mission about destigmatizing sexual wellness, right? And making it more fun and playful. It's so unexpected that it got my attention. And I see a lot of these.
Well, and I think when you say you don't know where your head went out, I think that was kind of the point of the collab as well, right? Is to bring that, to make that a bit fun and to get people thinking about it.
Yeah, look, when it comes to collabs, I do like this type of one where it is a bit random and unexpected. I'm going to be speaking at ETAL Asia next year, and there's a collaboration, I think, between Singapore Airlines and another brand. I can't remember which one, but it just seemed it makes sense. It's like, yeah, they're both sort of aligned, but it was just like, oh yeah, okay. Whereas this one was like, huh?
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of we spoke about it probably a couple months ago now, Urban Decay and OnlyFans and that collab. I think when you look at collabs, to cut through the noise, it needs to make sense, but it needs to be somewhat unexpected. So they've done a great job putting this together.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of unexpected, Havaianas and Arms of Eve have another luxury collab where thongs are getting juiced up.
Well, it speaks to our age when they say Havaianas are cool. And I'm like, weren't they always cool, or did I miss the memo? It's really bringing back kind of like the surf, dive and ski days. I'm excited for this. Aviva are a client. They're an amazing brand. They do really great products. And they, I think, were traditionally known for jewelry, but now they're bringing out further accessories. So they've got handbags, they've got hats, they've got a full range. So this is just going to bring them more eyeballs, and it's great for Havies to be supporting a local Australian business.
Yeah, and Havaianas also, like you said before, a 51% year-on-year spike for the search term Havaianas in Pinterest, which is insane.
Yeah, and that speaks to the cool factor. I think Pinterest is really that aspirational fashion. So if they're seeing that traction there, I imagine it's going to be a really great collab for them.
Yeah, especially since, from what I understand anyway, Crocs are starting to not be less cool. Well, actually, I think they're becoming less cool now. I think they've kind of reached peak Crocs, and now we're kind of on the other end of that curve.
Yes, and as we've said before, I'm a laggard when it comes to these trends. So I bought my Crocs probably 10 months ago, and then straight away they're no good.
Is this correlation or causation?
I'll take it.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be really cool to see what these look like. Obviously, like I said, with Arms of Eve and jewelry, accessories, there's going to be a lot of, they're going to have a lot of bling, I'd imagine.
Yep. And as we always say, personalization, no longer just that kind of rubber thong. It's okay, how do we put charms on this? How do we make this your own?
Yep, absolutely. And now Hermes, so the luxury fashion house, their long-term menswear designer. This one kind of caught my eye just because of how long they've been there for. Veronique, I'm going to butcher the last name, Nichianian, has departed the brand after 37 years. Now she's credited with refining quiet luxury for men long before the term existed, and she's going to be leaving after quite a long stint and going to be replaced with a younger, more trendy designer, which seems to be a bit of a trend at the moment with a lot of these older designers moving on and then kind of these more young, hip designers, God, I can't just believe I used the word hip, joining as being lead designers of some of these luxury fashion houses. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think we definitely have seen these luxury fashion houses bring in that younger talent. For me, Hermes is classic.
Mm.
So I wouldn't expect someone to come in and completely shake things up. It needs to be timeless still. A breath of fresh air after 27 years, I'm sure will be welcome, particularly for those loyal shoppers of Hermes. God bless them, for them to start to see something new in that range.
Well, that's the thing. I think you can't lose your brand DNA, right? Like what makes you your brand. And we've seen with a lot of these heritage brands before, which we're going to talk about a few later on, is that when they do change, they lose a lot of what made them them in the first place. And you've seen that before, not just with Hermes, but with Burberry, Yves Saint Laurent, who changed their logos, try to be more modern, and then actually forget what makes them special. And you see them now actually coming back to that. Like Burberry, for instance, they've gone right back to their roots, like gone away from the sans serif font and gone back to the knight, which really is iconic for that brand. And I wonder whether if Hermes go too far away from that with new designers, whether they're going to lose that brand equity or whether the new design is actually going to respect that. And I really do hope that whoever comes in respects the heritage, but also brings a new take on it rather than trying to reinvent the wheel. It's like the CMO coming in, first thing they want to do is change the logo.
Yeah, 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 and like you said, change the font as well.
Yeah.
It's my favorite luxury brand, if I'm honest. Just from what they've built, what they've put into the craft, and how they've supported local craft makers as well around the saddle stitch. That's what they were first known for. So I think that they'll shake things up in a very small sense, but still stay true to what Hermes is all about.
Cool. Watch this space. All right. And just one last quick one to touch on is that this one popped up and I really like this. RM Williams have unveiled the new Paralympic uniform. RM Williams, heritage brand, Australian heritage brand, I should say, known for that rugged outdoor outback aesthetic, made right here in South Australia, actually just down the road from me, actually, partnering with the Paralympic team.
Yeah, it's awesome. Adelaide brand, Australian brand represent. I think it's really important for these Paralympic athletes to feel proud of what they're wearing and what they're representing. So it's a really exciting collab.
Yeah. And when you think about Australian fashion, it doesn't get much more high quality than RM Williams.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to get into our deep dives. And first question I'm going to ask you, Alex, is how often do you wear jeans? Are you a jeans person?
How often do I leave the house? Yeah, I wear jeans. If I can't wear my leggings, that's the next step up. I'm a big girl.
Well, one of the jeans brands which everyone knows is Levi Strauss. They are the most iconic jeans brand in the world, I would say. Very famous during the 50s for being the quintessential American denim. And, they've always been around. They've never gone anywhere. But there was probably a time where you were starting to wonder if they were starting to become a little bit irrelevant. But it really seems that they are coming back in quite a big way because last quarter they reported 7% year-on-year revenue growth, where their net revenue is up from 1.41 billion to 1.51 billion. But most importantly, D2C now accounts for 44% of total sales. And their margin has increased to 57%, which is quite remarkable in the current environment with tariffs and everything else.
Yeah. Look, I don't know if I would call this a recession indicator to an extent of where are people putting their money. Jeans is a long lasting with Levi high quality product. So that's kind of where my mind went when I was reading through this article. I also think on the D2C side of things, you purchase one pair that you like the cut, you know your size. It's a really reliable purchase to go straight online. And people are obviously trying to support that brand. So rather than buying from their wholesale partners, they're going direct.
That's a really good take. But one thing which I would add to that as well is that there's no shortage of denim out there. There's so many jeans brands. You go to Japan, there's like 100,000 like different like micro denim makers who make awesome jeans. And there's a lot of new ones coming on the market as well. But this feels though that in this particular age, like in a recession, quote unquote, where people are doing it a little bit tougher, being much more discerning in terms of what they're spending money on, that it's almost like the revenge of the boring brand in the sense that
Mhm.
this brand, which has been around for ages, but is known for trust, for quality, for workmanship, means that we don't want to take those risks. We're less likely to risk buying a new brand now. We'd rather just go back to something which is like a staple, which has been around and we know is going to continue to be around. So for me, it's almost a sense that we're less reluctant to take risks right now.
Yes. Yeah. Risks with our money, 100%. And I think whenever you go vintage shopping, there's always the big Levi wall that's always stacked with their denim, which speaks to the
Mm.
longevity of the product. My mum's passed me down jeans that she's worn that still go off of the cut. So call it boring or call it reliable.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about Levi's jeans as well, and any good denim, is that it gets better with age.
Yes.
The more you wear it, it becomes more comfortable. It looks better on you. It forms to your body. So I'm a huge Levi's fan. I haven't actually worn Levi's in a long, long time. I've still got some in my wardrobe. But after reading this, I was tempted to actually. I did go on the website to go. I wonder what they've got nowadays.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how they're going to now use this to kind of push those other products as well and hope they hit the momentum up.
Yeah, and I think it also speaks to the importance of owning that whole customer journey as well. So seeing that D2C is such a strong part of their business, they've got the stores, they've got online, obviously. Owning that gives them so much power in terms of just being able to understand the customer through the different stages. And going back to your earlier point as well, once you buy one pair of jeans from somewhere, you just keep buying from them over and over again because you trust the fit, you trust the sizing, you trust the quality. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what jeans are like. Like once you find a brand which you like, and I've got a couple of brands who I only buy at the moment, but now I'm thinking about going back because you just trust that.
And another brand for denim that sticks out to me is Nudie jeans as
Mm,
well. I always put Levi and Nudie probably in that same category, if I'm honest, of just reliable
mm.
brand that's been long standing, kind of not that churn and burn.
Yeah, and that's another brand which I own a couple of nudie jeans as well. But again, these brands, like, yes, they do some cool stuff every now and then, but really it's just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And to your point about having the same styles now, like Levi 501s are still their best seller, like 70 years later. It's that consistency, right? It's a classic. So if you make that classic, you can dine out on this for billions and billions of dollars for many, many decades.
Yeah. I wonder with that D2C data and just having all of that, yeah, consumer information, the lifetime value they can see of these
Mm.
products as well would be really interesting because that is sometimes the downfall is that you only need to buy these pair of jeans. And we spoke about this Lululemon the other week, once every 5, 10 years. So, but that other product line is going to be really important.
But you need different colors. You need your light denim for a more casual look. You want your darker denim. You maybe need a black or a gray, washed gray denim. There's different shades, right?
If that's what you tell yourself now.
That is what I tell my wife. All right, our second story. This next Friday is going to be Halloween, and Halloween is getting bigger and bigger each year. And in the latest report I've seen is that Halloween spending is tipped to go over $500 million in Australia. And I can remember when Halloween wasn't really that huge, but here it is. And we're expected to spend $500 million versus 430 last year. And a lot of this is being driven not just by kids, but by young Gen Zs as well as young families as well.
Yeah, I'm interested in your take. Like, you've got young children. How much do you think that you'll be putting into Halloween? Because it's the costumes, but it's also the chocolates, the
Mm.
lollies, everything else that goes around it, right?
Yeah, it's quite a lot. So we've already got the Halloween decorations up. So they went up over the weekend. There'll be more going up over the next week and a half. And I know people who have already got their full Halloween displays, and they spend hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, each month on each year on adding to their Halloween decoration. And you go to Costco, and they've got like some seriously extreme Halloween decorations. And there's clearly a market for that because it's also kind of just this show of like, celebration and joy, right, for the kids, and everyone's trying to outdo each other. So I think there's a huge investment which is going on in that. Then you've got the candy on top of that as well, which, you've got more and more kids now going out trick-or-treating. I remember going back about 5 years ago, I only needed about 100 pieces of candy. Now it's like, counting it last night, it's like we've got about 400 pieces and it's all going to go.
Yeah, the decorating the house thing, it's crazy to me. It's obviously that the Christmas spirit as well, where every year your collection gets bigger and bigger, and like you said, people look to outdo themselves. Same with when it comes to your kids, like being able to make sure that they're, I don't know, competitive in their in their costumes, and everybody's looking schmick. And then you've got a whole family costume thing as well. So I'm not surprised this is growing. As you said, like years and years ago when I was growing up, people turned their nose up at this thinking it was an American holiday. So it's interesting to see how it shifted.
Yeah, and I think part of it as well is that there's an opportunity now for retailers to really tap into this moment. If you don't actually have something Halloween related, figuring out how you can make something more Halloween related. And I don't mean just doing a sale, but seeing whether there's something which you can repurpose for Halloween or even coming up with a Halloween specific drop. I know with a few clients who I work with, they do a Halloween collection each year, and it's one of their most popular because it's a unique style. It's something which kind of really speaks to the moment, and people love it.
Yeah, I caught up with Tutu Demon this morning actually. Shout out, they're amazing, their products gorgeous. Their Halloween edit is very fun. And all of that content coming together. It's at the end of the day, it's a good reason to go out and talk to your
Mm.
customers.
Yeah. And this year as well, because Halloween is on a Friday, there's also a lot more parties as well. So
Right.
part of this growth from 430 to 500 million is actually being driven by costumes, with people now actually celebrating it, going out to like, either office parties or after work parties, which are
Mhm.
Halloween themed. So looking to really level up what their costume is rather than pulling something out which, they haven't worn in a few years.
Yeah. So, hot tip here, any fashion brands listening or brands that this is applicable, if you go onto your own site and you search for Halloween ideas, Halloween clothes, and you've got those black dresses that could be then used for, I don't know, a cat outfit, for example, making the most of that heightened traffic.
Yeah, like you said, the Halloween edit. How do you mix and match things to make it Halloween focused? Yep, I love that. Love that. So are you going to be dressing up as anything at Halloween?
I was just thinking, it's on a Friday. What should we do? I'm gonna have to go find a party.
Well, I was thinking an inflatable frog, like they are in the Portland protests at the moment.
We'll have to in a couple weeks' time. Yeah, let's see the family, the family photo. I want to see the outfit. We'll have to put that on blast.
I was the Grim Reaper last year, a very short Grim Reaper, but I was the Grim Reaper.
Probably kids were really afraid of you coming up.
Yeah, they've got about 3 outfits to choose from this year, so we are doing our bit to support the costume shops. And I made sure as well we bought them from a proper costume shop, not Temu.
That's good. I'm sure, yeah, Temu sales for cat ears and all of that kind of accessory pieces have gone crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of amazing Australian-based costume businesses that we should support.
Yep, absolutely. All right, and our final story is one which I read on the US publication Retail Dive, which has a quote from the Tom CEO, who is saying that drop culture is fading, especially when it comes to sneakers and streetwear. And this is something which I've been seeing a lot of as well, where a lot of drop-based businesses who do rely on their monthly, bi-weekly drops are really starting to see the demand for those start to decrease, as well. Now, in this article, they're talking about women's fashion in particular, where women in particular are kind of like pushing back against that model because they value availability and inclusivity rather than having this model which is based on let's drop something, it sells out really fast, and then everyone else misses out. And there's also the fatigue as well from Gen Z as well, who are just they're just frustrated by the whole experience. Things get bought by bots, they have to pay more than it's worth at aftermarket, And that constant hype, which we're constantly in, where every week there's like something new coming out. Hey, we're releasing something new. What do you think about this, Alex? Do you think this is a bit of a shift which you're seeing, where that drop model, which was super popular over COVID and even coming out of COVID, is starting to fade from relevance?
Yeah, I think the fatigue element, which you mentioned, is definitely there. And how much can you just continue to hype where it just really becomes same? I think that there are some brands that do amazing drops that align with different moments that are exclusive that you that sell out. You're not available to get them again,
Mm.
and that is worth the hype. But to continuously have a new drop every month, every 2 weeks, at what point is it not a drop at all?
Yeah, look, if I look at a brand like Black Milk do that extremely well because while they drop every month, every drop is targeted towards a different customer, whether it's a different fandom like Pokemon, they've got Fallout, which they're doing in a couple of weeks' time. Everyone is targeted towards someone else. So they're not hitting the same customer over and over again. So that fatigue is much less. Whereas there's some streetwear brands, which I know who are essentially targeting the same customer each and every time with very, very similar styles. And there's a point where you go like, hang on, like, what am I really buying? Like, how many of these hoodies and tees do I actually need anymore?
Yeah. Well, as a sneaker buff, like, how do you feel about seeing this kind of change in culture?
Do you know what? I'm actually okay with it because I don't need that many more sneakers. And there was a time where it was like, I knew when the new Jordans were coming out and I'd rush to buy them. But now, unless it's something super, super special, like I don't mind waiting. Like the only thing which I wanted to make sure I bought as soon as was released was the new Nike Ava Rovers. That's probably the only one because it was their new silhouette and I knew it was limited. So I wanted to make sure I had that. But aside from that, I don't really feel that need to anymore. And even with fashion, there was some streetwear brands and activewear brands who they had new designs every month, every couple of months. And I was always waiting for now. It's just like I ignore the emails generally because I just don't need it. I look at what I've got and I'm thinking more around like, well, what do I actually need versus what do I want?
Yeah. And what degree of it is just same,
Mm.
just repackaged in a different bow. Whereas, like you were saying with Black Milk, having that targeted to different shoppers and it feeling more unique to them and more relevant.
And as a female customer though, from your point of view, do you value like how much were you into that drop model? Were you ever waiting, queuing up for something to drop at a certain time to make sure that you were able to get it, or didn't really care?
There's one brand, I don't want to butcher how you say the name. I think it's Sabi. They do t-shirts and they sell out super quick. And I
Mhm.
don't know if that's more their drop model or they just in this infancy of growth,
Yep.
they can't keep up with demand, which makes it feel like it's a drop. In which case I support that. And it's like I want to get in before I lose my size and I know they're never coming back. But no, I don't get bought into that. I'd call it like a fake driver of
Mm.
urgency. And also, yes, they sell out for the most part. Let's say they sell out 80, 90%. But then if you check in, I'm sure you'll find that other product on sale later down the line anyway. So, no, it doesn't get me excited.
And I can see like a lot of brands like Represent, for instance. Represent are one of the many streetwear brands who are very famous for they would actually artificially take products off the site. So when they would launch, within 2 hours, they would start to remove products. So they'd appear that they were sold out to create that artificial hype. But then what you would see is that they would then have a vault sale 3, 4, 5 months down the track where that same item would be put back on the website, but 50% off. So if you're one of the people who are waiting to buy that and happen to buy it at full price, then you see it at 50% off and you thought it was sold out and you were one of the lucky few. And then you see it was sold out back on sale 6 months later at 50% off. You'd feel a little bit gypped.
Yeah, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you're like, all right, well, I won't be doing that again.
And I think that we've kind of exhausted that because there's all these little tricks and tactics which people have used, whether like false finishes on sales, whether it's like artificially selling out, which to create that urgency. But eventually you're going to have to show your hand. And when you show your hand, like you say, the customer just feels like they've been let down. It leaves that bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
So in terms of brands, are there ones who you look at who kind of are doing the opposite, which are doing that evergreen model well, rather than just like creating that hype for that one-off sale? They're just able just to have really strong, solid product which just consistently sells.
Oh God, you put me on the spot. Do you have an answer? Let me have a think.
Look, if I'm going to pick a brand, like I know I talk about them all the time. Maison de Sabre do that incredibly well. Like they've just kind of got their core range, which they always have. But New Balance, New Balance, any of those sneaker companies, yes, they come out with new models every year, but they don't really come out with lots of different colorways all the time. They come out with their main silhouette each year, the main model, and then that is just what they sell through. And they very rarely do those limited editions. Whereas Nike went quite hard down that path of limited editions where they burnt out their customer, as we've talked about before. New Balance, I think, do that really well in that they don't really do too much of that. They just kind of keep selling just like the core colors, the core colorways all year round. And that's where most of their sales are coming from.
Yeah, I would say Uniqlo, I think, do well of having those core base products. Yes, they have new launches, but they've still got those basic tees, the jeans, which, sorry, Levi, I do like the Uniqlo jeans. And it's just those best sellers that you can rely on.
Yeah, look, I think that's really important to think about. I think that, like we talked about with Levi's, and that kind of has been a bit of a theme through this episode, is that if you want a really long-term, sustainable, steady growing business, that's kind of the path you need to take rather than those peaks and troughs, which you get from that drop-based model.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Alex, that is all we have time for this week. You are back from New Zealand. What's on your dance card this week?
I would love to clear the inbox and get through a mountain of replies that are sitting there. So nothing too exciting, business as usual. And I've got a week of leave next week. So
Fantastic.
yes, I'm very excited for that.
I guess no one is going to be implementing any new tech on the week before Cyber.
Well, we've had projects signed off, but yeah, I don't know about that implementing turnaround. Uh, Hopefully not. I'm sure I'll get an email in the inbox saying, hey, I thought it would be good to chat now. But we'll see. What about you? What do you got on?
Right now, it's all about just finalizing a lot of Black Friday planning. We've done all the hard work now. Now it's just like kicking everyone into gear to make sure we get everything ready in time. Because I can't believe it. The next Saturday will be the first day of November. So
Yep.
I expect that from next week, we're going to start seeing quite a few sales begin with their early Black Friday starts. My question, though, is that how early are we going to see them? Are people going to be waiting? Which is kind of my prediction, that people are going to have shorter sales. But I expect there's going to be quite a few who are going to be going the whole month of November.
I've already had a few emails in the inbox where they're talking about their sales coming up, Black Friday coming up. So, yeah, I think my prediction is people will hold out a little bit longer than they did last year. Last year, we saw brands go super early, but I still think we're stuck in that November sales cycle where Click Frenzy just rolls into Black Friday and it's just one big mammoth of a month.
Well, let's see what happens in November. But in the meantime, let's look forward to Halloween.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Keep innovating, keep growing, and keep selling. And we'll be back next week.
See you soon.